Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the final Betting Weekly game bet match of the week. It's Nigel Seeley here for Betting Weekly game bet match, the tennis betting show and podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. He was on yesterday. We were lucky to have him on because he wasn't very well, and unfortunately, he doesn't feel that good today. Again, it's our senior ATP Tour handicapper, Sean Calvert. Sean, you're not feeling that good, mate, are you?
No, pretty much the same as yesterday. You can probably tell by my voice. It's not that it's ever that clear, but now it's a bit gruff, and yeah, I've got a few medicines that I'm taking, and I've even bought chicken soup,
Oh,
which
lovely.
which I never do ever. I've had about one bowl of soup in about 5 years, so that's where I'm at. 'Cause I can only eat simple things and have like liquids and stuff like that at the minute. So that's where we're at. Yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah, that's how it is,
A
unfortunately.
chicken soup. I mean, I love a chicken. I love a soup, me. Oh, I could eat soup every day. No problem at
Well,
all with soup. Love a soup.
Well, I'll have one in about half an hour when the show's finished. I'll let you know how it was. But
Smell it from here. I had one yesterday. Nice chicken soup.
I
Lovely.
would always have a sandwich over a soup. I would never, very rarely
I'm a
would I actually.
lazy. I can't be bothered to make the sandwich. If Paul was here, she'd make me a
You still
sandwich.
got
But
to
me,
cook the soup though, right?
stick in the microwave.
Still
Ping.
cooking.
Yeah, but 2 minutes, bosh, done. Lovely. Sandwich, you got to put the stuff in it.
You got to butter the bread and then you got to
Yeah,
put
it's
something on
too much. I've got too much to do.
it.
That soup's much
Just
easier. Much
revealing
easier.
insight into what goes on in your household.
Yeah, I won't eat. I'd have soup. I'd take the dog for a walk and stop off at the chip shop, get some chips and a bit of sausage and batter on the way home. Maybe even stop into the local pub now and again, have a quick half. But when I wouldn't even attempt to make a sandwich if she's not here to make the sandwich for me. No,
What do you do when she's not there?
just
Just get the chippy.
go around the shop and just buy a sandwich or something. I'm not. I wouldn't make. I won't make one. I'm no,
Outrageous.
not very good. Not very good at that. I don't have the patience to make a sandwich.
30 seconds. That's
I
about it.
know, but it's easier just to get a microwave and just a microwave meal, like a spaghetti bolognese microwave meal. Put it in there 2 minutes. That's my lunch. Perfect.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's enough of my eating habits. Tennis. It's been a sort of up and down week. A couple of nice winners, a couple of near misses. How do you think of the week so far, Sean? It's been all right. Yeah, not too bad. The underdogs are doing quite well.
Yeah, they normally do in Cordoba. As I said, it's the best week for backing underdog winners, and it has produced a reasonable amount already, hasn't it? So that's why I chose that tournament to kind of focus on. In particular, we've got another bet there tonight, haven't we? Which I talked about at the show yesterday. But yeah, Marseille is always a bit tricky, and Dallas they're not great for underdog winners in general. But yeah, February can be tough. As I've said before many times, if you have to really limit your bets in February because there's 3 tournaments every week, and the temptation is to just have more bets because there's so many more matches going on, and in the past, that's ended up costing me really. I've ended up having too many bets and just not really paring them down to the perfect ones, if you can call it that. So I'm just doing it slightly differently this year.
Experience. Learn from experience. So when you come on, you see all these tennis matches, you might want to go and have a look. Never let the bets go looking for. Don't go looking for the bets. Let the bets go looking for you. Some phrase that my dad used to say to me.
It's a good mantra, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
good mantra. As I place my 25th wager of the day today. Anyway, let's have a look. We've got 3 tournaments, as you said there. We've got Marseille, we've got Dallas, and we've got Cordoba, and we've got picks or matches previewing in all 3 of those tournaments. We've only got 4 matches, but they're across all 3 tournaments. So let's start off in Marseille. Before we do that, Sean, what are the conditions like in Marseille? I've read some reports, and we mentioned this now. Batista Agut said that it was very slow, uh,
Mm.
but the stats aren't backing that up a little bit. I don't know. It's a bit misleading.
It's a weird one, Marseille. I'm looking at it now because our outright Emil Roussevoy is serving for the match, which is never a great position for him. Normally, he's not the best closer in the world, but it seems to be doing it at the minute. It just doesn't look quick. I think the way that the points are being played out, there's a lot of long rallies. I wouldn't call this a quick court at all. I wouldn't call it slow either. I'd say it was just a sort of medium slow court, to be honest. Um, yeah, it's a conundrum, Marseille. It really is.
It's a conundrum, and the action starts tomorrow at 4 a.m. in the morning. So it's an early start across in Marseille. Obviously, it's based in Europe, so there's a lot of American viewers here who'll be watching that. That'll be 4 a.m. and you'll be able to live stream, bet live and watch live on the Bet Rivers website. If you place a wager on any of the action, you'll be able to watch it on the Bet Rivers website from the comfort of your own home. So the first match we're going to talk about is this really does interest me, actually. Sebastian Korda against Grigor Dimitrov. Sebastian Korda here is plus 155. Grigor Dimitrov, the number 2 seed, is minus $2. The spread here is 2.5, minus 104 for Korda receiving 2.5, and Dimitrov giving up 2.5 is minus 124. The total is 22.5. Now, I mean, if anybody had watched our show, hopefully many of you had last year, but we know we've got a lot of new subscribers who may not have seen last season. But Sebastian Korda in 2023 costs us more money than any other player. But I'm tempted to forgive him and go in here at plus 155. I think that's a monster price. I looked at when they met before. They've only met once before, and that was in Washington in 2022. Korda won that match 6-1, 6-2 in the third set. He lost the opening set 4-6, but he started a minus 185 favorite for that match. So roll the clock on year 2, just done sort of 18 months or so from then, and now Dimitrov is a minus $2 favorite at the state. He's 32 years of age. I'm quite surprised by those odds.
Yeah, the other thing to mention, actually, just looking at the Russell matches, just served it out. I think they're playing with those Technifiber X1 balls, which are really slow. I think that might have something to do with it. I think the serve is okay. If you've got a big serve, you're all right. But I think once the rallies play out with these Technifiber balls, very similar to Rotterdam, they use Technifiber X1 balls as well. I'm not 100% sure if they are Technifiber X1, but they were before. That's probably what's making it a little bit slower. But yeah, the stats I've got here, I've got Korda as priced up as a minus 159 favorite in that Washington match. I remember it very well because we were on Korda outright, I think, that week, and he was playing great, and he had to play 2 matches in a day because there was thunderstorms there, and he beat Dimitrov, and he lost to Mikael Ymer, I think it was. So Korda was comfortably the better player on that occasion. Since then, Dimitrov's had a bit of a revival, and Korda has struggled with injury, loss of form, confidence, but on his day, he has the quality to cause problems for anyone. This is another one where I'm thinking, shall I go on Korda again? But he's cost me over the last 12 months.
You're a little bit less forgiving than me. I think it's fair to say. But
depends. Once or twice, I'm all right. But he's cost me numerous times.
I think it's value. I think you have to. If it's value, it represents value. I think you still got to play. I mean, plus 155 does seem to be. I mean, I think he's won his 100th career match, wasn't he?
Sorry.
He won his 100th career match overnight as well. So
is that right? I don't know.
It's a big milestone for him as well. Yep.
Well, it wasn't great against Grenier. He could have lost that match against Hugo Grenier yesterday. It was yet another match where he's had to grind it out and win right at the death. He should be beating someone like Hugo Grenier pretty easy. And Grenier would, I think, get a medical timeout. I don't think Grenier was fit, but not a great performance again from Korda. Look at the stats on indoor hard last 12 months. 10 matches for Korda, 14 matches for Dimitrov. You can see why it's priced as it is. Dimitrov's service points 1 and return points 1 totals 105. Korda 102. And the problem Korda's had is that he's struggled to break serve. He's only won 33% of return points. And he's only won 12 of his last 36 matches in straight sets. So he's just not breaking serve. And I was interested to read his comments last night after the Grenier match. He said something like, I had a couple of bad games in that set. Okay, great. That's not good enough, is it? A couple of bad games. That's why I lost the set. You can't afford that at this level, and you're playing it. Almost cost him against Grenier. You would think it would probably cost him against Dimitrov if Dimitrov's in, is the better form that he's shown in the last sort of 6-9 months or whatever. But on the positive side for Korda, he's now attuned to the conditions here. Dimitrov isn't. He's coming in cold, isn't he? He's not played, I don't think, since the Australian Open. When he lost that bad one to Nuno Borges. I feel like given Korda has got the experience of these conditions now, and you wouldn't be surprised if Dimitrov's just a little bit rusty. I think the over 2.5 sets is interesting here. I think this will be a close one. I couldn't really go on the money line. I don't think it's that great value on Korda on the stats, but plus 135 a bet Rivers on over 2.5 sets is interesting.
So plus 135 over 2.5 sets doesn't really matter. Well, it doesn't matter at all who wins the match, but as long as there's a final set in the best of 3 set match in Marseille, I think Korda's a big price at plus 155. Dimitrov, a bad defeat. I thought he was massively overrated going in the Australian Open. I saw so many people tipping him up as a contender. I think
I said at the time, didn't I? He couldn't do it when he was in his 20s. He's not going to do it now at the age of 32.
I think it was down to like 33 to 1 at the start of the tournament. It was a ludicrous price, isn't it? A lot of people were tipping him up to win his quarter. He didn't deliver. And I just think that he had that big run. He had that great run. But I think if you're betting him at -$2, I know there's a lot of stuff about Korda, and I know that we've lost so much money on him. But I personally feel that +155 is a little bit of value when you consider what a heavy favourite he started the last time they played. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Is that an official pick, the over 2.5 sets? Yeah.
No, that's just a lean, that is.
So a lean for Korda, Dimitrov.
I'm being very circumspect with my bets.
That is one of the prop bets, and there are 28 different prop markets available on the BetRivers website on this match, on each of the matches, and all the tournaments this week. A minimum of 28 different markets, huge array of bets you can have on the BetRivers website. Okay, let's move on to the second match we're going to speak about in Marseille, and it's Jiri Lehecka against Rinderknech, the Frenchman, up against the Czech. Lehecka here is -182 with BetRivers, +145 for Rinderknech. The handicap or the spread, -1.5, -143 for Lehecka, +1.5 for Rinderknech, +112, and the total's very high, 23.5, -103 for the over, -125 for the under. Lehecka came through against Goffin, the journeyman. Yeah, I was going to say not a very good performance. Yeah. And Rinderknech come through against the big serving Maxime Cressy, who's on a bit of a sort of a comeback or coming back from some terrible form. What do you make of these odds? I mean, it's the Frenchman in France. Is it is that something you would look at hometown, or something you think could be a hindrance in?
I think it's a positive for Rinderknech. The problem I generally have with Lehecka is that he's very, very hard to read. He can be great, or he can be pretty poor. Somewhere in between. There's no real rhyme or reason to what he does, but he should have lost yesterday against David Goffin. He was 6-3, 5-2 down against Goffin, and for the umpteenth time in his career, Goffin was unable to put a match away that he should have won. How many times has that happened in Goffin's career? Dozens and dozens, I would suggest. On the indoor hard stats, over the last 10 main level matches, both of these guys have played on indoor hard. Rinderknech has slightly the better stats. Service points won and return points won, total of 100 compared to Lehecka's 98. So slight advantage there for Rinderknech. And on the service hold and break totals, again, slight advantage for Rinderknech, 97 to 95. And what stands out when you look at the data of what these two have done on this surface in recent times is that both men only win 33% of return points. They're not doing enough. Very, very similar to Korda, actually. They're not breaking enough. They're not winning enough return points. So you're going to expect a few long sets. They went 7-6, 7-5, didn't they, when they played in slow conditions at Indian Wells? I think it was last year. And that was with Rinderknech serving poorly. He had a bad day on serve that day. He only made 52% of his first serves and 8 double faults in a couple of sets. So he wasn't anywhere near his best on serve, and it still went 7-6, 7-5. I wouldn't back Lehecka at that price. That's one thing I can say with certainty. I'm tempted to back Rinderknech on the money line. On the indoor stats, he's better. You would think he'd be slightly more motivated than Lehecka. So yeah, this one, if you're having a bet, I would suggest Rinderknech +145 at BetRivers.
Rinderknech currently +145, as Sean said there with BetRivers. A couple of little stats for you. The last 5 matches for Rinderknech, 5 tie breaks in the last 5 matches. And in the first, when they met before, there was a tie break in the first set. A tie break in this match is -113. It's into 23.5 games, which is high, usually 22.5 or 21.5, 23.5 or 24.5. You expect long sets, as you said there. Do you think that's a sort of a smidgen of a tie break in the match?
I suspect there probably will be one. It's minus money, is it?
-113 a tie break.
At the odds, I'd probably take a chance on Rinderknech because for the bigger price. I feel there's probably a bit more juice in that than in the tiebreak prop.
If you like that tiebreak prop, you can go for a tiebreak in set number 1 at +265, and that cashed the last time these two players met in Indian Wells last year. Okay, we move. That's it for Marseille. 2 leans in Marseille. Korda, Dimitrov over 2.5 sets at +135, and Rinderknech on the money line at +145. Now we stay in stateside, move across stateside to Dallas, where we have a match between 2 Americans. 2 Americans are in slightly different form, and we've got the number 1 seed Francis Tiafoe up against Alex Michelsen. But before we go on to that match, that's the one match we're going to feature here. We haven't spoken about Dallas since Sunday show when we were giving our outright picks. You've seen the stats from the tournament. You've seen the opening couple of days results. What are you made of what you've seen so far?
I haven't seen any data from there yet. It sometimes takes a few days to come through. It's usually quick, as I said. There's a bit of altitude in this part of Dallas. I think it's 175 meters, and it's usually a quickish, excuse me, surface on a lake hold. So yeah, it's normally pretty quick conditions. I was expecting Eubanks and Johnson, who played yesterday. I was expecting that to be a one for the overs or set one tiebreak, and it was nowhere near. So you got to be a little bit careful. There aren't as many big servers in this tournament as there have been in years gone by. I mean, it was always a one for Isner and a Pelka and all these guys, and they're not in it anymore. So it's you got the likes of Michelsen. So it's difficult to gauge the conditions when you haven't really got any of those big servers.
These are the odds here. Francis Tiafoe, number 1 seed, is -182. Tiafoe's not in good form, though. He only won 2 of his 6 matches he started this year on the hard court. Michelsen is +145, an up-and-coming American. The spread here is 2.5. -2.5 for Tiafoe is even money. A 2.5 start for Michelsen is -125. And the total here is 23.5. Michelsen is a big server. He comes through a tough match against Sandgren in the opening round. But Tiafoe's Mahak, he got beat by it in the Australian Open. He had a terrible run in some of the exhibition events before. I know it was another exhibition events, but there's something not right about him. At the end of last year, he had a brilliant year, didn't he? Sort of going into the US Open, and at the end of the year, he just sort of looked tired, and his form lost him, deserted him. Heavy favourite, -182 for Tiafoe, given the old current form he is.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting match, actually. Be interesting to see how Tiafoe shows up for this, because as you alluded to there, he's not been good at all since the US Open. He's really been in one of his funks. Doesn't seem to be playing well at all. Just doesn't seem to be at it or interested for whatever reason. You know, Tiafoe's at his best when he's pumped up, isn't he? We're just not seeing any of that anymore. He's been very flat in recent times. Since losing to Shelton at the US Open quarterfinals, he's gone 5-8 win-loss, and with a service points for win and return points, one total of 96, which is way down on a good 10 points, I would suggest, down on his best. You know, that's a long way down. He's only won 31.5% of return points, and he's only broken serve 11.5% of the time, which is really poor. I know it's a relatively small snapshot, but it's 13 matches, not including the ones that at Labour Cup and stuff like that. So he's in one. He's in a really bad place at the minute, whether there's something going on with him or just maybe he's physically not right. I know he split with his coach Ferreira end of last season. Feels like there's something going on that we don't really know what it is. As you said, Michelsen's he's not done great. He's in the same time frame as I just talked about for Tiafoe. He's 3-6 win-loss, but his service points, one and return points, one total is 97, which is better than Tiafoe. So even though he's not winning the matches, he's still performing at a slightly better level in this moment in time than Tiafoe is. And he's an interesting player, Michelsen. It reminds me a lot of Alex de Minaur, actually. A lot of court craft, a lot of good different styles that he can play. He's a tricky one. You would have thought on indoor hard, Tiafoe's bigger weapons would prevail, but I think it's too simplistic to say that in the form that Tiafoe's been in recent times. It's not just a few weeks; it's months, isn't it, since the US Open? What is it, about 6 months? No, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, September, isn't it? October, November, December. Yeah, 4 months. Coming at 5 months.
Yeah, it's not a few weeks. It's been this way for quite some time. And if you back Tiafoe at this sort of price range between 1.5 and 1.6, that's -200 to -167. In his career, he's only 4-4 win-loss on indoor hard at main level. And on all surfaces in that price range, he's lost 3 of his last 5 completed matches. So he's been a bad favourite to back in this sort of a price range. If this again, it feels like a 3-setter. It feels like Tiafoe will probably maybe edge it in the end. Maybe 2-1 to Tiafoe is perhaps interesting. But you know, he's got to get up for it. He's got to look more pumped than he has in recent times, because he's crafty, Michelsen. You've got to play well to beat him. So again, the over 2.5 sets is interested in there at +128 with Bet Rivers.
Over 2.5 sets +128. Michelsen on the money line is +145. Would you be tempted by that as well, or is it in play bet? Something like that.
I think if you want to back Tiafoe, I think you'll get better than this in play. I wouldn't back in Tiafoe at these odds. I suspect it might be one where he gets it done eventually, but I'd wait for a bigger price than this.
Just one thing you touched on there, you said about Tiafoe splitting up from his coach, Wayne Ferreira.
Mm.
Also, obviously, you got Holger Rune now split up with Boris Becker. Just want to know how much of an effect coaching a change of coach during a bit of a slump for these players. Is it really dependent on the player, how they recover, or is it something that you factor in when you're looking at your handicapping?
I guess it depends on the circumstance. The fact that Tiafoe's in such a slump and then split up with his coach, and I don't think he's appointed a new one yet. That suggests that something's not quite right. The same with Dominic Thiem. He was with Masu, wasn't he, for a long time? And then when he got back from the injury, Thiem wasn't getting the results again. They went their separate ways. It feels like there's something not quite right there. Holger Rune, he splits up with a coach every other week, doesn't he?
Mm.
He was with Luti for about 5 minutes. Then Becker's decided that he can't travel with him. Maybe he's not allowed to.
Probably. Did you watch that documentary on Boris Becker last night?
No, I didn't.
There was a documentary. It was a channel over here. It was a documentary on. I think it's a 4-parter, The Life of Boris Becker. It was on ITV. It's on for an hour. Very, very good. Yeah, it's the downfall of Boris Becker. It starts off with his career and it goes there. If you can watch it on whenever you can, catch up. If you're stateside as well, you want to watch this documentary. Very, very interesting documentary on Boris Becker. You may be able to find it on one of some device or on the internet somewhere, but it's really, really good, Sean. You want to watch that this afternoon? It's pretty good. It goes about his private life and obviously the famous incident in the broom cupboard at Nobu, the restaurant, and got him in all kinds of trouble. We'll leave that there. Bonking Boris was his nickname, wasn't he? Over here, it
was at one stage. Yeah.
In that broom cupboard. Just finally, the final match is in Cordoba over in Argentina, and this has probably been the takeout of all the tennis this week. The weather in Cordoba, which is absolutely sweltering, and it doesn't seem to be any chance of it sort of stopping. It's extremely, extremely warm.
It's supposed to break today, actually.
Is it? It's still
not today. Tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, it's still like in the 20s, but it's really, really high. So it's going to change tomorrow. And does that have an effect on your thinking on this match? So let's give you the match we're going to talk about here. It's Luciano Darderi up against Sebastian Ofner. Now, Sebastian Ofner is -122. Darderi is even money. The spread here is 1.5. Darderi -1.5. Sorry, +1.5 is -130. Ofner giving up the 1.5 is +102, with a total here at 22.5. 28 different markets available on this match as well with Bet Rivers. Well, I think we sort of alluded to and sort of touched on the fact that Sebastian Ofner, who's from Austria, would not be loving these kind of conditions. So I automatically presumed you were going to go fade him with the Italian, who probably would be a little bit more suited to these conditions. But now you say there's a bit of rain around, some thunder and lightning, some storms in it. Are we changing our opinion on what we thought initially here?
I think he might have got a little bit lucky here, Sebastian Ofner. This is interesting because Darderi was priced up as favourite for this. So if you're saying he's now -122 Ofner, that's quite a big swing from.
Yep.
What's -122? About 1.8 something.
Yep.
Yeah, he was 2.05, I think, when he was initially priced up for this Ofner, which I would have gone in on 2.05. I'm not so sure about the odds now, but yeah, this is a tricky one because you look at the weather forecast and it says there's 36 millimeters of rain supposedly in Cordoba on Thursday with the thunderstubs, but they can be quite localized and it can make you look a bit silly. I've done this before. When I've said there's 36 millimeters of rain in the thunder showers in the forecast, and it's ended up missing the local area. It's been, I don't know, 10 miles down the road or whatever, and the conditions have been very different. But I think with the weather breaking, obviously it's still going to be humid. It's going to be hot and humid. It's still going to be over 30 degrees, but not with any burning sun. Obviously, there's going to be all thunder clouds up there. So you would think Ofner might have got a little bit lucky there. Plus, he's got a Thursday start as well, hasn't he? I think he was in Ireland, actually, wasn't he, on in Davis Cup? He was certainly playing on indoor hard, Ofner a few days ago. So it's kind of a long journey, but the Thursday start is quite generous from the tournament. If you look at the challenger stats of these pair over the last 12 months on clay, there's very little in it. Darderi's service points won and return points won total is 104.5. And by the way, he is Italian, but he plays for Italy, but he was born in Argentina. So He will be used to these conditions. Offner is 105, so almost identical in terms of the challenger stats over the last 12 months on clay. I mean, Darderi wasn't great against Barrios Vera in the last match. He seemed to win it more on fitness than anything else. Barrios Vera kind of faded in that. And that might be his best chance again. It's still going to be hot and humid, but not as bad as it's been in recent times. I'm still tempted to back off. There is quite a big difference in experience between these two. Ofner's obviously played at main level many more times than Darderi, so it's a lean for Ofner. I think it might be the case that he has got the best of the weather. Plus, if it's going to be thunder showers, it's going to be on off, and you would think the more experienced player will be able to deal with that the better. So tempted to back Ofner, but I think the price has perhaps just gone maybe a squeak low. The overs is interesting as well. Actually, both of these pretty strong servers. So the over 22.5, if that's what it is interesting there as well.
Yeah, over 22.5 is currently -112, and Ofner on the money line is -122, and that match starts tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time, which is obviously in Argentina, and the one in Dallas, which we were mentioning there, which was the match between Tiafoe and Michelsen. I'm just going to get you the start time for that. That starts around about 1 p.m. So the reason you've got to get up early is for tennis in Marseille. Then you can have a nice afternoon and watch a bit of tennis or watch it on your lunch break. Sean, no official pick then. No official pick tomorrow. Just a few leans.
No, I'm being circumspect. I think it feels like I'd be sort of pushing the envelope a bit. Went with any of these. They're reasonable leans, but I don't think they're strong enough for bets. As I said, February can cost you if you end up having too many bets. That's for sure.
Sometimes no bet is the best bet, so don't worry about that. I'm the man of phrases, and
you've got a lot of these.
Yeah, I'm the man. I'm the man of common sense today. I wish I could put some of these into practice. Then I'll be okay. But anyway, there's a great load of content which we have coming your way. And currently, obviously, if you like this show, you can download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on your preferred podcast provider. Please keep downloading that if you'd like to listen to that on the podcast form. We also subscribe to Betting Weekly YouTube, Betting Weekly Studio, on YouTube. There's a great amount of subscribers on that. That's growing at a great rate. Any comments you want on the show, please put the comments in there. And we're going to do some competitions offers coming up very soon with these T-shirts that we have, which the Sean Calvert one has been the most hottest ticket in town. Hottest T-shirt in town. Getting the $1 bus. Yeah, oh yeah, they're flying out the door. Going to have to get to the wholesaler, get some more.
You have to get some more, yeah.
Yeah, and you also follow us on our socials on Instagram and Twitter, which is @BecauseWeWin. Sean, you rest up. We're back on Sunday. We have 3 tournaments on Sunday: Rotterdam, Delray Beach, and Buenos Aires. I've got a meal booked with the missus because it's Valentine's Day and we're going out Sunday and our friend is singing. So hopefully we can arrange an early time or late when we come back in the evening for that. Because we're going to see a friend of ours singing a few numbers. So I'm sure you've got something
locally
locally. I'm sure you must have something planned.
No.
What?
No, I don't do Valentine's Day. No.
Every day's Valentine's Day in the Seeley household. Every day.
Really?
I always buy flowers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Romance is not dead in this house, Sean. Come on.
Romance is definitely dead in this household.
On that note, hope you have a lovely Valentine's Day. We'll be back on Sunday. Hopefully we'll be cashing tickets and we'll get some more winners, and hopefully we can get some outright winners through as well, and we'll have something to celebrate, not only for the Sean's house for his Valentine's Day weekend, but hopefully with the tickets as well, cashing some winners. Have a great day, and we'll see you all again on Sunday. And also we have some WTA betting angles, best bets on the WTA tour, also on the YouTube channel, so look out for them. Lots of nice picks going on there, and I'm doing quite well now, +5 units for the year. Okay, that's it. Have a great day, and we shall speak to you on Sunday.